Okay, presumably this should be live. Um, so I normally don't do this. Actually, I should just quickly run it by my fiance to say that I am streaming so we don't get disrupted. Um, yeah, so I am gonna make this a video that other people can tune into. Or it's gonna save the VOD. The main thing I want to say, and hopefully the sound is good. I'm just gonna quickly check it out now. Or it's gonna save the VOD. Okay, it sounds fine. So yeah, hey guys, what's up? It's Radar here. Normally I would be making a very kind of extensive card review for the upcoming expansion, and the main reason I'm not doing that is largely health reasons. It has nothing to do with anything else. I've been getting really bad migraines lately, and those reviews are quite time intensive. They require a lot of kind of post stuff in post. I have to edit in the graphics and everything. So I still wanted to do a card review. I just didn't think I had the time when being on screens has been making me kind of feel sick. So I'm actually gonna grab my glasses with that in mind. But working on that, trying to get that back to normal. That's why I haven't been doing as many videos generally. But yeah. So let's get started with this is the standard review of this stuff. It's not kind of in relation to Wild. And as many people know, or some of you may not know, the core set is coming out alongside this release. So rather than doing my typical kind of meta rating and regular card rating, I'm just going to do kind of the regular card rating and then discuss the meta, because I think the meta is going to shift so substantially that predicting it is like not impossible, but it's like it's a lot trickier. And so I'm just going to approach it more from an overall card quality. So with that out of the way, let's get started. So we have Razor. We're going to start with the Demon Hunter. We have Razor Boar, 2-mana 2/2, Death Rattle, summon a Death Rattle minion that costs 3 or less from your hand. This card's not very good. 2-mana 2/2 is not great stats, and it's very specific what it's going to summon out of your hand. Like obviously it can summon itself. Are there that many good low-cost Death Rattles? I'm not really convinced by that. So I just don't think it's going to be very good. Moving along, Vile Call. This is basically that 3-mana card that summoned 2/2 Treants, but it's in Demon Hunter, and instead those 2/2s get lifesteal, which is very similar to the 2-mana card that summons 2 1/2s in Druid. I'm trying to think of the name. So I think this card's pretty good. I'd probably give it like a 3 out of 5 in card quality. This one was a 2 out of 5, I think, but it's good. Will it see play in Demon Hunter? I don't think so, not necessarily, but we'll see. It's definitely like decent stats for the mana because of the lifesteal. Fury rank 1. This is basically, if you haven't seen these cards get better each time you get to 5 mana and then 10 mana. So this is like a much worse Twin Slice. However, Twin Slice is not going to be in the game later. Notable things being removed are Consume Magic, Twin Slice, Umberwing, Blade Dance, Satyr Overseer, Altruist, and Glavebound Adept. So, this card will probably replace Twin Slice. Is it as good? Definitely not, but it's still solid. I think in particular, like, it scales okay. I generally like these rank cards. I don't know what the term would be. Tusk Piercer, also a bit of a letdown, I'd say. Not a super strong card, but could become a lot more interesting. It does tutor stuff out. You get a weapon. I think it's always useful to compare draw cards to cards that we've seen previously. And Novice Engineer is a 2-mana 1/1 that summons that draws you a card. This is like 1 mana less and it draws you a card, but it's a bit slower and it tutors a specific thing. So in that sense, it's good. But I just don't see Demon Hunters wanting to run this. It doesn't do enough for the card slot. This card does do a lot though. The 7-mana 3/6. Obviously that stat line is not very good, but it draws 3 Death Rattle cards from your deck that cost 5 or less, which is like pretty good already, and summons them. So this card is, I would say, very strong. I would give it a 5 out of 5. It's just very good. Like it does a lot, and it would make you basically want to run Death Rattles. Does it make you want to run like this Death Rattle? Probably not, but you can get some expensive Death Rattles that have like reasonable stats on their own that by summoning a bunch would justify running this. I think you find a way to slot this in, but maybe it doesn't work. On its own, it's a very strong card, though. Vengeful Spirit, also pretty strong. It's 4 mana, 4/4, that you draw 2 cards if you can get that Outcast going, and it's a Death Rattle. It's kind of synergy. Is that synergy going to be great? Not necessarily, but maybe it can kind of work okay. I still think this is basically like for 1 less health from a Chillwind Yeti, you can draw 2 cards if you can do it on the Outcast. And we've seen Outcast work successfully as a mechanic, and we've also seen it work successfully with like lower cost cards. It's just that Death Rattle problem that, you know, do you want to draw Death Rattles? But as soon as you have like 1 or 2 Death Rattles you like, then this card becomes great. So I think this is a great card. Sigil of Silence, I think, is pretty underwhelming. It's, you know, you have to wait a turn to silence all enemy minions. Kane is still in the set right now, so you can get past taunts. I don't think waiting a turn to silence stuff is worth the card slot, so I just don't see this succeeding. Sigil of Flame, however, is you wait a turn and then you deal 3 damage to all minions. So it's kind of like Hellfire, but it doesn't hit face, but it costs 2 less mana. So yeah, you have to wait a single turn, but it also makes it so that your opponent can't really develop, because you can play this on 2, and then on turn 3, do they want to make it, like, throw a couple minions in there, knowing that you're going to clear the board? And I think in a lot of context, this is going to be really good. The problem is it's kind of a control card. It goes against a lot of this sort of tempo board-based style that you see with Demon Hunter. Razorfen Beastmaster, 3 mana card, summon a Death Rattle minion that costs 4 less from your hand. So again, if this was from your deck or something, I'd be interested in it. I'm not that interested in it right now. It's a 3 mana 3/3 that summons something that's like decent. But what if it's not in your hand, then it doesn't really do anything? So I think this card is like pretty good, like 3 out of 5 kind of thing. It actually is doing a lot, but it needs a lot of support on its own, and it's not something that's just like independently good. Similarly, this is kind of a control Demon Hunter card. It's a 4 mana 3/4. Attack the left and right most enemy minions. So ideally, you play this with Outcast, and it just clears 2 minions, and that's like pretty good. Is that good enough to be in an aggro deck? I wouldn't say so. Is that good enough to be, what's the word, in a control deck? Yes, probably, but is there going to be a control Demon Hunter? I don't think so. So that's the Demon Hunter cards. I think they're probably going to stick to the game plan they already have. We might see a control list crop up. I'm not so sure. But again, it's hard to predict the meta, right? Moving along, we have Druid. Take some water. So to start things off, we have a very unique Druid card in Celestial Alignment. The way this works is you play this card, 7 mana, essentially do nothing, right? You're just setting people back to 0. You're not actually developing in the board. That can sometimes be rough, you know, just because they go back to 0 mana and they're going to have 1 mana the next turn doesn't mean they don't have multiple minions on the board. So that really hurts it, because you might take a lot of damage and, you know, be doing effectively nothing. However, Druid has a lot of ramp. They have a lot of cards that kind of cheat out extra mana. I think if you survive the single turn that you do this, it can be kind of decent. It reminds me a bit of Lunos Pocket Galaxy, but the difference with Lunos Pocket Galaxy is that you would have 7 mana, play the Lunos Pocket Galaxy, and then they would have 8 mana and do whatever they were doing. This is a bit better in that, like, yeah, they might be able to do 10 mana worth of stuff, but if they're an aggro deck, probably not. They only get to play 1 card. It's only discounted a little bit. So I could see this being okay. This is a very interesting card to me. I'm going to say like 3 out of 5. I think it could find a place, but will it find a place next meta? I don't know. Thick-Eyed Kodo. It's a really good example of just a solid card. 4 mana 3/5 taunt, already decent. You know, a 3/4 would be like a 3 mana card. A 3/5, like a 3/6 or so is like a okay stat line for taunt. This is just Sen'jin Shield Master, but a beast, and that beast tag can be relevant, and you get 5 armor. So it's basically Sen'jin Shield Master with 5 healing. That's good, and it's a beast. So like I think it's just a card that it's not amazing, but you play it because it's solid. Moving on, we got Thorn Growth Sentries. Summon 2 1/2 turtles with taunt. It looks a lot worse than that Lifesteal card in some ways, but the taunt is really relevant. Particularly token decks sometimes want that taunt, and also this is just a solid token druid card. I think token druid is going to be a pretty good deck, even though the classic set will no longer, or the core set rather, will no longer have Savage Roar. I think it has other tools like the 4 mana Soul of the Forest, some of the other cards in this set, particularly this one, Pride's Fury, which we'll get to. I think Token Druid has still got enough tools to succeed, and this will be pretty good. Pride's Fury, very, very solid card. Maybe not amazing. The thing I compare this to is like for what Power of the Wild, I guess it is, the 2-mana card that does +1/+1 to everything. Is 2 extra health like worth the 2 extra mana? Like, it's not amazing, but it still is pretty solid, right? Like, you get quite a bit stronger. I think I might be interested more in the 2/2, but it depends. I think this card is not nearly as good as this one, and both of them are still like okay, but I think it's solid. For friendly minion, this next card, 4 mana, 3/4. After friendly minion with taunt dies, so I'm gonna new copy of it without taunt. I think this card sounds good on paper, but I think it's pretty specific. It's not like there's a ton of like rush taunts. Obviously, there's this guy down here that transforms into a taunt, but generally, I think this is like it's gonna feel great when it works, but it's not gonna work as often as you like. So I'm gonna give it like a 2 out of 5. This Razormane Battle Guard, the first taunt minion you play each turn, costs 2 less. Very, very strong effect. 2 mana, 2/3, decent stat line. Again, are there really good taunt minions though that you can take advantage of this? Like, I think if you had a couple taunt minions to make it work, it becomes really good. But what are those taunt minions? I'd like to see, and we'll go through the set. Maybe there'll be some that crop up. But I've looked through it already and haven't felt super confident that this is going to work. Guff Rune Totem. After you cast a nature spell, give another friendly minion +2/+2. There's a decent amount of good nature spells, and I think this is just a very solid card. It's a 3 mana 2/4, so like okay stat line, but then like any nature spell, which like there are a lot of good nature spells. We're seeing some here. Like these are all nature, but I'm pretty sure if we were to look at the core set itself, which I can very quickly do, like a lot of the cards that are in Druid right now, I think are going to be what's the word? The nature class. Let me just pull this up. So, Innervate nature, what's another one? Soul of the Forest nature, Wild Growth nature, Landscaping nature, which is okay. Nourish nature. Like a lot of like classic cards are nature. And then there's a lot of other good ones. So I just think that you kind of want to run the nature cards anyway, or at least some of them, and so it won't be hard to get some value off this guy. And you could see it kind of going out of control with stuff like Innervate. This card, Mark of the Spike Shell, seems very similar to Mark of the Wild, but it also has that kind of seance effect. Is it that good because it's only applied to taunts? I don't really think so. I don't think you really want to copy a taunt, at least not right now. So I think this is like a 2. I think this is like a 4, by the way. Living Seed, I think it's interesting. Like I saw Trump gave this a low rating. As I said earlier about draw effects, you always want to compare them to Novice Engineer. So Novice Engineer is a 2 mana 1/1 draw a card. This is a 2 mana nothing, draw a beast, reduce its cost by 1. So it tutors out a specific card, but you don't get that 1/1. But as it improves, it reduces the cost by more and more, which I think is like an okay benefit. I'd much rather draw more cards. That would be insane. But I think even as is, it's still like a good, reliable way to draw a beast, and maybe there's a beast you want, and it gives you a mana discount instead of that 1/1 body that Novice Engineer gives you. So I'm shocked that he gave this a low rating. I'm gonna give this like honestly a 3.5 or a 4 out of 5. I think as soon as you have a deck that wants to draw a couple of beasts, you play this. It's not even that bad. If you get it like after a certain point, it becomes essentially free, right? Like by 5 mana, you just draw a beast for free. So I think he's unwise to rank it low quality. I'm gonna say 4. Druid of the Plains, another really good card. It's 7 mana 7/6. 7 mana is expensive, but rush it trades off with a minion, and then it summons a 6/7. So the way I look at this is like kill a minion, and then summon a 6/7 taunt. Pretty solid. I think in a lot of cases you're really happy to do that. And I don't think it's going to be that hard to activate Frenzy, which by the way is a one-time effect after this survives damage. So if it were to take 6 damage, this effect would not occur. But 7 mana removal for a single minion, pretty pricey, but 7 mana removal plus the taunt, which with like a decent taunt, I think that's good. I think that's like a 4 to 5 kind of thing. This could easily be a beast that you want to pull. You discount it by 3. Anyway, that's the Druid cards. I expect Druid to do pretty well. I think they're going to have a fair amount of tools, and I don't think they got hurt too bad from the kind of core set rework. speaking of people who did get kind of hurt bad, I think is Hunter. So let's talk about the Hunter cards. Warsong Wrangler, Battlecry, discover a beast in your deck. Give all copies of it +2/+1. So 4 mana, 3/4, not a great stat line. It's a Battlecry. It discovers a beast in your deck, and then you give it a buff, but it doesn't actually draw you the card or anything. So it's like a hand buff card, but like not really. It's a little bit better than a hand buff. It's kind of like a Dire Frenzy on a stick. Dire Frenzy was a card that was decent when you could combo it with Tundra Rhino, and important to say, Tundra Rhino is no longer going to be in Standard, alongside Animal Companion, Eagle Hornbow, Kill Command, Unleash the Hounds, etc. And Tundra Rhino in particular, I think would have been very good with some of the cards in here. So I don't see that kind of Dire Frenzy model, which Dire Frenzy, by the way, is going to be in. I don't think that's going to be as successful, personally. But yeah, I think it's interesting still. I'm going to give it a 2. Not the greatest card. So Piercing Shot. Again, Kill Command is gone. So is the Piercing Shot the replacement for it? 3 mana, deal 5 to anything. This is 4 mana, deal 6 to a minion, but the excess will hit face. So if you do it to a 1/1, you deal 5 and you kill a 1/1. That seems okay. Doesn't seem as good as Kill Command, but Kill Command doesn't exist. It reminds me of the Demon Hunter card where like it's almost as good as Twin Slice, but not. But Twin Slice isn't around, so maybe you play it. I think some people are hyping this card up too much. It feels like, yeah, it's flexible removal, and it doesn't rely on a beast. Although Hunter has so many beasts, that usually wasn't a problem. I think it's okay. I think you probably do still run it, but I don't know if I'd be thrilled to run it, and I'm probably gonna give it a 3. Okay, Pack Kodo. 3 mana, 3/3. Battlecry, discover a beast, secret, or weapon. So presumably, you're going to have 1 beast, 1 secret, 1 weapon. Unless there was like some weird thing where it says like, what do you want to discover? And then it shows you 3. I don't think that's how it's going to work. Either way, 3 mana, 3/3 beast. Already nice to have that beast tag. 3 mana, 3/3 stat line that draws a card is very, very good. And it reminds me a lot of Ursatron, which is a 3 mana, 3/3 death rattle, draw a mech. This is like better. It draws it more quickly. You don't have to wait for the death rattle. And all of these are pretty decent. Hunter can use all of these. So I think this is just a fantastic card. 4 to 5. Prospectors Cavern is Caravan is a terrible card. 2 mana at the start of your turn. Give all minions your hand +1/+1. Hand buff always kind of questionable. And then on a 2 mana 1/3 body, it's even worse. This is a 1 for me. Wound Prey. 1 mana, deal 1 damage, summon a 1/1 hyena with rush. It reminds me of the, what's it called? The 1/1 from Rostakon's Rumble that gave you another 1/1 rush, but it kind of operates a bit differently. You can deal face with this, which makes it a bit better, but it's, you don't get 2 beasts, so it makes it a bit worse. That card was great. I think this card's going to be great too. Solid like 4.5 out of 5. You're going to see it in a lot of decks. Next up, we have Tavish Stormpike. The legendary, after a friendly beast attacks, summon a beast from your deck that costs 1 less. So this is where I think if we had Tundra Rhino, I'd be jumping out of my chair in excitement because I'm a big fan of Hunter as a class generally. Imagine Tundra Rhino, you attack with the Tundra Rhino, or like you attack with something that costs more than the Tundra Rhino, it summons the Tundra Rhino, whatever. But more realistically, you play Tundra Rhino, you pull out cards from the deck, and each card that gets pulls out more, and they can all do charge, and it would be insane. But Tundra Rhino isn't going to be in Standard, and because of that, I don't see that kind of like immediate ability to attack happening, which is what makes this card good. However, 3 mana 2/5, not a bad stat line, and even just pulling about a couple quick beasts from your deck is quite strong in a class that doesn't have card draw. So I think I'm still going to give it a 4 to 5, but I might regret that. I can see this card just sort of not delivering. I just think if you get like you also want to look at it and go like, how many rush cards do we have? Because that's where you're going to get the most value. And we obviously don't really have any in the core set, but if we were to go to other sets, there are still some that kind of would operate that. Like if we look at the current Standard cards, I know not all of these are going to be in, but what's a good example? I know there's the guy with the Death Rattle copier. This guy, like he could summon a 3/3 and copy a Death Rattle. I don't know. I think it's okay. Next up, we have Kolkar Pack Runner. After you cast a spell, summon a 1/1 Hyena with Rush. I think you're very down to cast spells like this. I think a 2-mana 2/3 that summons more 1/1s is pretty solid. Doesn't have a beast tag or anything, but I could see this working out pretty well. I think I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's not amazing, but it's good. Tame Beast, summon a 2/2 Beast with Rush to start, and then after 5 mana, it's a 4/4, and then after 10 mana, it's a 6/6. That's a fantastic card. I think it's decent as a 2-mana card, but you're most likely going to want to play it on that 5-mana turn. You get a 2-mana 4/4 with Rush. It's excellent. You can play something else alongside it. It just scales well for what it's doing. Like even a 2/2 Rush wouldn't be great for 2 mana, but it wouldn't be bad. And the fact that it gets like better and better, like, you know, in particular at 10 mana, it still has utility as a 6/6. I just think it's a great card. I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5. Barak Kodobane, this is, or Barak, this is a 5-mana 3/5, so not a great stat line. With Battle Cry, draw a 1, 2, and 3 cost spell. What do they have in terms of spells? If we just quickly type spell. Again, some of these are going to go away. Is that really all they have in the standard slot? No way. But if I just get rid of Hunter, okay, but now it's, okay, Hunter. Okay, so this clearly doesn't work. Point is, there are decent spells for Hunter to draw. I think Hunter generally as a class struggles with card draw, and this can kind of give them decent amount of kind of reload. And I think this card is going to be good. I'm going to give it a 4.5. Sunscale Raptor. This is another card that Trump reviewed kind of poorly. So at one point, we had a card called Diremole in Standard, and it was a 1-mana 1/3 from Kobolds and Catacombs, and we saw it everywhere because a 1-mana 1/3 beast was just like pretty good in a lot of situations. And I think that Hearthstone has changed quite a bit, and power creep is still kind of making certain cards that were once relevant less relevant. I think this is kind of Diremole with upside in a lot of cases, and I don't think it's that crazy to get the frenzy effect with the 3 health. And even if you don't, it's a 1-mana 1/3 beast on 1. That's good. I would give this a 4 out of 5. I think it's a very solid card. You just don't need this whole shuffling thing to work out. And even if you do, you get a 1-mana 3/4. Like 1-mana 3/4 is not bad in a kind of tempo mid-rangey style deck, which is where I see Hunter kind of operating. Like you take some of the cards that are good in Hunter that are working in decks like the Highlander Hunter, and you just kind of swap in stuff like Wound Prey, Sunscale, Tame Beast, Pack Kodo. Those are all like guaranteed things you add in. Maybe a single piercing shot, a Tavish, that kind of thing. I think there's some pretty cool, interesting builds for Hunter, even though they got kind of gutted by the core set, in my opinion. Next up, we have Mage. 3-mana Arcane Luminary. This is a 3-mana 4/3 with cards that didn't start in your deck, cost 2 less, but not less than 1. I mean, like, obviously we do generate spells in Mage. That is a thing we see with stuff like Evocation. But I don't know. Like, I don't think this card blows me away. Like, even when I think of cards that you can generate, Evocation obviously being a big one, and is that rotating? Ashes of Outland, no. So it'll still be in. I think for the most part, the not less than 1 really turns me off, and just in general, it's like a 3-mana card, so you can't really play it alongside other cards as easily. So I think it's okay. I think this is the kind of card that if you get in a pack and you maybe are a lower rank and don't have as competitive of a deck, this is still fine. Like, if it's a deck that generates cards, it's not bad, but I'm not blown away. I'm going to give it like a 2. Oasis Ally, 3-mana secret. When a friendly minion is attacked, summon a 3/6 Water Elemental. So Water Elemental is a 4-mana card. This basically cheats it out for 3, and it's a secret, so it's a little hard to play around. I think this is good. I think Secret Mage is, to me, the most likely follow-up for Mage. So I like this. I think we're going to see it a lot. I don't think it's broken or anything, but I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 because I think we're going to see a lot of it. It also works in like a lot of classes, and Water Elemental is particularly good against things like Demon Hunter. Rhyme Tongue. After you cast a frost spell, summon a 1/1 elemental that freezes. So there actually are a fair amount of frost spells. Ice Barrier is one. Oasis Ally is probably one of the better ones. It's not like a crazy amount. Again, some of these are going to be cycled out. Pretty sure this is Ashes of Outland. So like there are some. I think the fact that it's limited to frost spells though, and the fact that you wouldn't want to like on its own it's just a 3-mana 3/4, which is okay. Like take this card in arena, but it's not going to see play in standard. 1 out of 5, I guess. Overall card quality is actually 2 out of 5, but it's not going to see play from a meta perspective. Refreshing Springwater, 4-mana spell, draw 2 cards, refresh 2 mana crystals for each spell drawn. I think this is amazing in Spell Mage. I think it's pretty good in any deck that runs like half spells. If you draw 2 spells, it's literally 4 mana draw. It's 0 mana draw 2. We know Arcane Intellect is kind of the golden standard for drawing cards. So this is 1 more mana, but then it can become less in terms of cost. And because it's a card draw thing, like whenever you get more mana, you're losing a card. Like basically you're spending a card to gain cards that also gains you some extra mana. And once you do that, that means that you have the ability to spend the mana more immediately. Where imagine if this was just a card that said refresh your mana by like 2 and gain attack or something. It's like, well, what do you do with that mana, right? Like that's kind of my issue. So I think this card is quite good. I don't know why my YouTube thing is being weird, but just gonna try to figure this out. Anyway, gonna mute that. Okay, going back to what I was saying. Wildfire, this is kind of a really interesting card to me. I know a lot of people are excited by this one. 2 mana, increase the damage of your hero power by 1. So on its own, I think it's garbage. I think it's a really bad card, and I'm going to outline why. You hero power on turn 2. You do 1 damage. You don't waste a card. Here, you do Wildfire on 2. Well, you get nothing immediately. So then say the next turn, you do a hero power. Well, now you get 1 extra damage, which maybe allows you to clear a minion that you would have had to clear over 2 turns. That's kind of nice. But really, you still haven't yet gained anything that you couldn't just hero power once and then twice. So it's really only after the 3rd hero power that this starts to be worth it. And is that worth a card slot? And is that worth it doing 2 mana to do essentially nothing? Like, again, this only starts to get more value as you keep doing that hero power. I don't think that's something a tempo deck wants. I think they want to do something with one of their cards. Again, remember, you only have a couple cards in your hand unless you have a lot of draw. So you want to get the most value you can. And I see this fitting into a more control deck. But even then, within the control deck, is this something you want to run? However, this other card exists, Reckless Apprentice, which I think is like a 5 or a 4-star card. This is a 4-mana 3/5, fire your hero power at all enemies. So it is a battle cry that deals at least 1 to 7 other minions. It basically casts Arcane Explosion and does 1 damage to face for a 4-mana 3/5. I think that's excellent. I think it's very, very strong. And if you did use Wildfire, it only gets better, right? If you cast 2, it's basically casting Hellfire only on the enemies, including hitting the face. So I think you definitely run this. And does this little package work to justify running 2 Wildfires? I mean, I guess if we have a really, really strong control mage, you might consider it. But even then, like, mage doesn't have a lot of healing. I'm just not convinced. And I know that the payoff, obviously, is for Mordresh, the deal 10 damage to all enemies. 10 mana 10/10 is not bad, but don't you just run Cthulhu if you want to play like a control mage? Like, isn't that just better? Maybe you still run this because, again, if you have one of these guys and it hits even like 4 things, including a face, well, there, you've already done 4. You're already pretty close. You could probably hero power a couple times. Like, I don't think you need to work too hard to get this guy to go, but I don't know. I know there's some like Potion of Madness stuff you can imagine where you grab a bunch of these guys and play them and pop off, but I think Wildfire is like literally a 1 out of 5 for me. And then if it works, it's because Reckless Apprentice is like a 5 out of 5. That's my opinion. Next up, we have Ruined Orb. Now, this is a good spell for 2 mana. This is 2 mana, deal 2 damage, which on its own, not great, not as good as something like Frostbolt, which is kind of a staple card that's existed for a while, and I think is being removed, if I recall correctly. Yeah, we get no more Arcane Missiles, Frostbolt, Sorcerer's Apprentice, Frost, Nova, Polymorph, Blizzard, Archmage, Antonidas, and Pyroblast. So a lot of like real staples in Mage are going away. I think this is a card that reminds me a lot of Primordial Glyph, which was a 2 mana discover a spell, discount it by 2 mana. So basically like discover a spell and then potentially play a spell immediately. This is deal 2 damage and then discover a spell. So, you play this, you remove something that's kind of pesky, like a 3/2, and then you get a spell. I think in a lot of cases that's really good, really solid. I think you're going to see this in a ton of mage decks, ranging from aggro to especially control, because, discovering cards is good. Cheap removal is decent. 2 damage can even be hit on face, which is flexible. So I think this is a great card. Maybe even like it's one of those cards where it's like it's not broken. It's like a 4/5, but it's just so solid. Vardan Don Dawngrasp. If Blizzard and Frost Nova were in, I'd be like, holy crap, is this a good card? With Blizzard and Frost Nova out, I still think, holy crap, this is a very solid card. It is basically Frost Nova. For 1 more mana, you get a 3/3. So basically a 1 mana 3/3. I think that's pretty good. And then it kind of only gets better if you have other minions that are frozen. Will you have other minions that are frozen? I don't think so. I think the way you freeze things is pretty tricky. You could do water elemental from this guy. That kind of curves out okay. I don't have a lot of faith in Flurry. And then beyond that, like the core set doesn't have that many freeze things. It has Snap Freeze, which I don't see people playing. It has, I did forget about this Fallen Hero guy. There's some synergy there. And of course, there's synergy here. But I just don't see this hero power stuff working. It is worth mentioning, though. Like, if you play the upgraded hero power and then you get this guy, it can kind of speed things up. But Koldar Drake is a terrible card, and Fallen Hero was never that great either. So that's why I don't have faith in the mage stuff. At least in the hero power mage stuff. But Vardan, very good card. Ruined Orb, very good card. Flurry, it's one of the few like rank 1, 2, 3 cards. I don't know what the term for these cards are. But it's one of the few cards I don't think is that great. You freeze a random enemy. So already it's like worse than the 1 mana twin spell card that freezes stuff because it's random. Yeah, it gets better the more kind of time passes, but the only reason I could see this working is because it's a 0 mana spell. And like freezing 3 random enemies for 0 mana is okay. I don't have no faith in it because it could still be good, right? Like it's a 0 mana card that does decent stuff, and there's some synergies with Vardan, which I think is a very good card you're going to see under control and everything. So I don't know. I don't think it's bad. I think this is another control mage card. I've already said I think it's like a 4/5 or a 5/5. I think it's just very solid, and it synergizes well with Mordresh. Plus, I just think that like I don't know, it's just not, it just seems good to me. Maybe I'm overvaluing it. Mordresh, Fire Eye. Battle Cry, if you dealt 10 damage with your hero power this game, it deals 10 damage to all enemies. It's really expensive. I don't love it more than just playing Cthulhu, which is like a easier win condition in a lot of ways because it's going to do 30 rather than 10. It's obviously a better Pyroblast, which is nice. But you have to do a fair amount of work to get it to work. In particular, like imagine if you play the Reckless Apprentice and all it really does is like 1 or 2 damage. Well, that means even if you play 2 of them, you need to have hero power 6 times, which is 12 mana. Like, have you done that regularly? And then you go, okay, well, I'm going to run Wildfire. But we've already explained why that's bad. So, I don't know, guys. I'm not totally believing in it. But if there's a way to, like, double up on Battle Cries, do some fancy stuff, maybe it'll work. Paladin. Paladin is one of the few classes where the core set is just purely benefiting it. Oh, by the way, one last thing. The reason why I think Secret Mage is going to work is because they're getting Arcanologist back, and they lose some good cards in the Cloud Prince, I think it's called, the 5 mana card that deals 6 damage, and Kirantor Mage, but they have the 2/3 that makes Secrets cost 1, which is kind of like Kirantor Mage in terms of the mana curve. And, they still have Fireball and other stuff, so I think Secret Mage is going to be the dominant mage archetype. Anyway, Paladin. Paladin, like I was saying, really doesn't lose anything that's like super impactful in the core set. If we look at like what they gain is like Reckoning, a lot of their like generally solid cards, they buff Equality, they still have True Silver, Blessing of Kings. All of these spells that are generally pretty decent are holy. They gain Warhorse Trainer, which is a good card. They gain Righteous Protector, which is an excellent card. I think Paladin is like the big winner of that core set change. And that's really relevant because we see Galloping Savior, which is an okay secret. You get a 3/4 taunt for 1 mana, which would be amazing, but you have to have them play 3 cards in a turn, so you're probably not getting it to a bit later. I still think it's good. But the thing is like, when do you get this? Like turn 5 if you play it on 1? Because they would have to be playing like it's like against Rogue. I think it's okay, but so like this card's decent secret. If Secret Paladin takes off, which I think it will, I could see this being run. It's like it's just good enough, but on its own, it's like a 3 out of 5. But this card, Knight of Anointment, number 1, it's a 1-mana 1/1. Draw a holy spell. A lot of holy spells are good. We already have just shown that you want to play a lot of the holy spells. Again, that's stuff like Consecration, Equality, what's it called? Not Holy Light, but Blessing of Kings. There are other ones within Standard too. Like if you look, basically any decent holy spell, any decent spell is a holy spell. So 1-mana 1/1 draw card is basically just Novice Engineer, but for 1 less mana, which is excellent. And you tutor out a specific card, which is also excellent. So this is a 5 for me. It's a very good card. It's very boring compared to some of the other flashy ones, but not every card that's amazing has to be, game winning. However, Soldier's Caravan, of the caravans, this is one of the better ones, but still caravans just don't work very well. Like they're 2-mana 1/3 that only gets value like the next turn. 2-mana 1/3, not a good stat line. I know we like Silverhand recruits and that can have some value, but I think most of the time this just dies and it does nothing. So you played a 2-mana 1/3 instead of developing something more valuable. Northwatch Commander though, 3-mana 3/4, draw a minion. Most of the time if you're playing secrets, and I think you are playing secrets because of the next card. So I think that this is a pretty decent card, maybe 3.5 or 4. I think you are going to run it just because 3-mana 3/4 draw card is good. This is the card that is going to enable Secret Paladin so much. 2-mana 1/3, after your hero attacks, cast a secret from your deck. So essentially, this is a 2-mana card that if you don't have it destroyed, you draw 3 cards and play them from your deck. And right now, Paladin really struggles with draw. Whenever they lost Divine Favor, I don't know how long ago that was, but Divine Favor was kind of the engine for enabling aggro decks. And they lost that, which hurt them. But this is a way to play secrets and not have them kind of like clutter your deck, which has been the main problem. Because on one, you can play some good secrets and feel happy about it. But the more you play, the more you're like, man, I'm just realizing now that this webcam cropping is a little bad, so my bad. Just gonna quickly fix that. But the more you play the secrets, the more 60, 70. Okay, that's good enough. All right. The more you gain mana, the more secrets start to just be really, really crappy. Like you draw 1-mana secret on turn 7 and you just feel like, oh, I really wish I drew anything else. This thins your deck of secrets while also getting the value from them. It's 2-mana, draw 3 and play 3. This is like probably going to be nerfed. It's that good. Easy 5. Definitely one of my top 10 cards of the set. Really, 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 really strong. Conviction. This is Blessing of Might, but it only gets better the more you do it. Admittedly, it is applied to other minions if you have them on board rather than like +9 attack, which would be kind of nutty. But I still think you run this over Blessing of Might, and surprise, surprise, this is a holy spell, another good holy spell. So, play a Knight of Anointment, and then you can get your Conviction in your hand, etc. Cariel Rome is a 4-mana 4/3 Rush Divine Shield. I'm already interested in a 4-mana Rush Divine Shield. 4-mana 4/3 Rush Divine Shield. It's a 4-mana, kill a minion, and still get a 4/3 a lot of the time. And that's pretty nice. And then whenever it attacks, which we know it's going to get at least 1 attack most of the time, you reduce the cost of holy spells in your hand by 1. And again, I've been talking about holy spells because they're relevant. This is a great holy spell. There's a lot of other great holy spells. So I think this is going to be a staple of Paladin decks for a long time. Both control and aggressive ones. Invigorating Sermon. 4-mana, give +1/+1 to all minions in your hand, deck, and battlefield. So often we see hand buff be about whatever's in your hand, it gets the buff. We also see, I don't know why my camera is shaking this aggressively. You know what I'm going to do? I have a way to do image stabilization. This is going to zoom in a little bit, so I'll zoom out a bit too, but for some reason my camera is just going crazy. Anyway, this is also a holy spell. Again, it's like all the Paladin spells are just holy, I guess. It's like Power of the Wild, but for 2 more mana, you do it to everything. So it's like a bit of hand and deck buffing while also board buffing. I think that's kind of interesting to me. My issue is it costs 4 mana. I think if it cost 3 mana, I'd be very interested. 4 mana, it's a bit chunky, it's a bit slow, but you can tutor it out with Knight of Anointment. You can discount it with Carriel of Rome. If you have a wide board, maybe this helps the kind of the dude paladin archetype, which again, we're getting back stuff like Warhorse Trainer, and the Pursuit of Justice. Like there's some of the support for it. I could see it working. I think it's like a 2.5, but it might be boosted up by synergies. Again, at 3 mana though, I like this card. Veteran War Medic, 4 mana, 3/5. After you cast a holy spell, I keep bringing up holy spells because they're very relevant. Summon a 2/2 medic with lifesteal. Basically, every paladin spell is a holy spell. Not every single one, but it's like more than half. So 4 mana, 3/5. Summon a 2/2 medic. We talked about this kind of token deck. This is like you play War Medic with Conviction, and you get a 4 mana, 3/5, and then a 2/2 with lifesteal. So it's basically a 5/7 for 5, and you can kind of just keep going after it. I don't think this is like broken. I just think it's probably like a 4. Makes me want to play it. I could see it being a bit too slow. It's tricky though. Like you can really pop off with it, but maybe you don't have enough cards in hand. Not every holy spell costs 1. This could go either way. I'm not like I could see it being better than expected or worse. Cannon Master Smite though is a good card. 5 mana, 4/4, not a great stat line, but you transform your secrets into 3/3 soldiers, suddenly get a ton of tempo on board if you have secrets, and then you keep the value afterwards. I think it's pretty good. Like I said, it's a good card. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's like game breaking, but I think it's just more secret support, and I feel like the secret package is there. Probably one of the first decks I will try tomorrow is a Secret Paladin. I'm gonna give that a 4, I think. Priest gets a lot of control stuff. Worth mentioning, again, just because we want to talk about core set. Priest loses Shadow Word Pain, Thought Steal, Shadow Madness, Cabal Shadow Priest, and Mind Control. Shadow Word Pain is which one again? It's the one that does... what's it called? 3 or less attack. Okay, I always get them confused. So 3 or less attack is gone in terms of removal, and then they also lose Thought Steal, which is great card draw, a couple other things. But they gain some other decent cards. Void Flare. For each spell in your hand, deal 1 damage to a random enemy minion. 4 mana, 3/4. A little overpriced in terms of the stat line, but then you get generally pretty good payoff, like 1 damage to a random enemy minion. And then it just kind of keeps going. I think it's very realistic to have like 3 or 4 spells in hand when you play this. Due to the way Priest card generation is right now. So that's a 4 mana, 3/4, deal like 3 or 4 to a minion. I think it is like an Arcane Missiles kind of effect. Or actually, no, but it's still to the same 1 minion. So I don't think it's like hitting all these others. So I think it's just usually like 4 mana, 3/4, maybe kill a minion. Seems good to me. I think this is a solid 4 to 5. Power Word Fortitude. Give a minion +3/+5. Cost 1 less for each spell in your hand. How much would I want to discount this in order to put it in my deck? Probably at least 4. Think about Blessing of Kings, which the Paladin card is a +4/+4 for 4 mana. This is basically the equivalent, so you need to have at least 4 spells. Do I think you consistently have 4 spells in hand as Priest? Not necessarily. And even then, it's like that's like the breaking point. And also, what's it called? Paladin is more likely to have a minion on board or something to pair it with their hero power. So I think this is a 2 or a 1. It's not very good. Soothsayer's Caravan. Caravans are bad. What can I say? They're bad. 1 out of 5. Devouring Plague. Lifesteal, deal 4 damage, randomly split among all enemy minions. It's kind of like Penance, but for 1 extra mana, and you get 1 extra, what's the word? Damage. Is that worth it? I don't really think so. And then it's randomly split. I just don't think it's that good unless I'm missing some kind of specific synergy, which I might be. I don't play as much Priest. I'm going to give this a 2. Serena Bloodfeather. Battle Cry. Choose an enemy minion. Steal attack and health from it until this has more. I think this is like a really cool card. It turns like an 8/8 into a... You become a 5/5 and it becomes a 3/3. I think it's basically like... It reminds me of the Argent Braggart in Paladin, the 2 mana 1/1 that becomes like the highest attack and health on the board, in that like it's a pretty okay card on 2. It's not amazing. Like it's not as good as the Argent Braggart, but like it's basically an okay card at any stage of the game. And I think that's good. I think like you shut down a threat and you get a threat in response for only 2 mana. I think that's good. At 4 out of 5. I don't feel like we're gonna be like, oh, this is so overpowered, but it's definitely good. Cerrelia, I don't know how to pronounce this, guys. I'm sorry. 4 mana, 4/4. If you restored health this turn, deal that much damage to all enemy minions. Combo this with hero power. It's a 6 mana, deal 2 to everything. But there are specific combos. One that's noteworthy is Desperate Prayer. You could do 0 mana, heal 5 to each, which would be 10 damage to all enemy minions. I think in most cases, this is going to be a pretty strong card. All you need to do is pair it with like a single spell or 2, or a lifesteal minion or something, and it gets a lot of value. 4 mana, 4/4 on its own is not like absurdly bad or anything. It's 1 less than a Chillwind Yeti. So you're not really sacrificing too many stats to get a pretty powerful effect. And it's a control card, and I think Priest is a control class. So I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a very strong card. Priest of Ansha or Anshi. Taunt, Battle Cry. If you've restored health this turn, gain +3/+3. I mean, it's like a 7 mana 8/8 or a 5 mana with another card 8/8. It seems pretty conditional. You'd have to have a lifesteal card on board or something similar. I just don't think you run this. Condemn, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions. Then it becomes deal 2 damage, then 3 damage. What a fantastic control card. 2 damage, 2 mana, deal 1 to everything is already pretty good. That's Arcane Explosion. Which you wouldn't run normally, but which is good early game, but then it starts to get worse. But in this case, this gets better. Oops, it becomes a deal 2 to everything on 5. It becomes deal 3, and then it's basically just like 2 mana Hellfire for pretty much the same effect, and then in the later game, and I think that's really, really good. So very strong card, 5 out of 5. Light Shower Elemental. This is a 6 mana 6/6 taunt with Death Rattle. Restore 8 health to all friendly characters. You could play this in conjunction with the 4/4 we just mentioned. I think this is a strong card. It's 6 mana 6/6 to be defensive, and then you get 8 health. And it even heals up your board. I think generally Priest likes defensive cards with healing. I think Priest likes this card. So 4 out of 5 for this little minion. 0 mana Desperate Prayer, restore 5 health to each hero. 0 mana cards can always be interesting. I don't think it's terrible. I think like there's some synergies, like we said, with Cerrelia, where it could do at least like, let's say probably minimum 3 to the entire enemy board. More realistically 5. More realistically even more. For a card that you don't really mind healing your opponent in a lot of situations. It's usually just about control, but it's on its own, it's not that good is the problem. So, do you run this card? Maybe. It's the synergies I think you care about. Well, it's not just the 2 viewers, Christian. I'm hoping to just have this be a VOD. I explained at the beginning that the reason I'm not doing a full review like I usually do is unfortunately, my health has been quite bad. I've been getting really, really bad migraines, and I've had to kind of stay away from screens for quite a while. Long-term screen use has been bothering me. So my videos usually take a lot more time than just kind of quickly going through, discussing my thoughts, which still took time. I still went through each thing and gave my kind of like examined what I expect. Anyway, 3 mana, Field Contact. We're moving into Rogue. Again, Rogue is losing Eviscerate Sap and Edwin Van Cleef. It's gaining some extra cards. That can be kind of fun. So I think there's, Rogue is in an interesting spot. As for this specific card, after you play a Battle Cry or combo card, draw a card. 3 mana 3/2, draw a card is not bad. It's pretty good. Is it enough to make the cut in Rogue? Maybe. Like looking at their core set right now, like they don't have a crazy amount of draw. Swashbuckler is essentially card generation, which is basically draw. Vanessa Van Cleef is basically draw. Sprint, of course, got a little bit of a buff, and with prep, is still not playable, I don't think. But I think Rogue probably wants this, but it depends on what other kind of competitive slots there are. Um, I still have doubts. It's like 3 out of 5 for me. 2 mana efficient Octobot Frenzy, reduce the cost of cards in your hand by a 1. 2 mana 1/4, doesn't blow me away. I think you play this on 1. Maybe they like, it's hard to clear the I don't know. This is interesting. The more I'm thinking about it, because it's like they can't hit it with a dagger or a ping or something, so they have to have a minion already on board. And what minion do they have? Like a 3/2 most of the time. There aren't going to be many 2 mana 4/3. So if you play it on 2, it can get a fair amount of value, particularly if it's going up against like 1/1s or other things like that. But that value drops off pretty quickly. Is it worth it to just reduce costs of the cards in your hand? I think it probably is. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I don't think like a tempo deck cares that much because you're never going to have that many cards in hand this early on. But it's interesting. Silverleaf Poison. 2 mana, give your weapon after your hero attacks, draw a card. So obviously you want to do this on a weapon that is going to stick around. So like Kingsbane is not in standard, but I expect that to be a pretty valuable card in that deck, I would imagine. In terms of weapons right now for standard, what are they kind of looking at? They have the self-sharpening sword, which is pretty solid. But this is like the way the search works in this thing is not good at all. Self-sharpening sword is the main thing. Assassin's Blade is not going to see play. So do you play this on the sword? No, I don't think so. I mean, you could see it as like you dagger up and then you play this and you get 2 draw off of it, assuming they don't kill your weapon, which like maybe is decent. Maybe it's like 2 mana draw 2. You can see I haven't actually put as much thought into the rogue cards as some of the other ones. I think this is like a 3 as well. 2 mana Wicked Stab. Like I said, I like these rank cards generally. Deal 2 damage, then it becomes deal 4 damage, then it becomes deal 6 damage. That's fantastic. Think deal 4 damage for 5 mana. Usually you're going to be using those burn spells. This is basically just replacing Eviscerate in a lot of ways, and I think it replaces it quite effectively. Eviscerate you have to combo, so early on you're not going to have as great removal, but it quickly gets better, and at the very end, if you're still alive by turn 10 trying to burst them down, it's 2 mana deal 6, which is Fireball for half the cost. So that's excellent. 5 out of 5, by the way. Apothecary Hellbrim. 4 mana 3/2 Battle Cry and Death Rattle. Add a random poison to your hand. The poisons themselves are what? Oh, this is a poison. This is a poison. Yeah. Okay. Let me see this one. Give your weapon +1 attack and your hero is immune while attacking. Like, I think this card is more interesting than these ones. Are there other poisons? Deadly poison, right? Let me just type. Getting a deadly poison is not bad. I think this is good. It generates 2 cards, which can generate more cards. It makes me want to like I don't really know if I want to play Silverleaf or Parasitic. It's particularly Parasitic, but on its own, this is a lot of card generation. So I'm going to give this a 4.5. I think this is a lot of cards and a lot of value, while also offering tempo. Swine Tusk Shank. After you play a poison, gain +1 durability. Very good with deadly poison. Generally pretty good with the other card. I think this is solid. Really depends on how well these poison cards take off. I think on their own, they're not great, but you do like to play deadly poison. So, it's pretty good. I'm going to give it a 4. Scab's Cutter Butter. Yeah, I've seen this card. The next 2 cards you play this turn cost 3 less. So all you need to do is coin this out on 4, and you can play 4 mana 3/3, and then 2 other cards. If Edwin was still in standard, and cost 3, that would be nuts. I think this is nuts anyway. Backstab plus this, you dump your entire hand, get a crazy amount of tempo. 5 out of 5 could get nerfed. Paralytic Poison. Immune is not that great. +1 attack is not bad though. I don't think it's good enough to run on its own, but I think you generate it off Apothecary, whatever his name is, Hellbrim, and that's good on its own. It's like a 1. Oil Rig Ambusher. Deal 2 damage. If this entered your hand this turn, deal 4 instead. 4-mana 4/4 deal 2 damage is decent. Like pretty decent. And if you top deck it, it deals 4. I mean, it's solid. I think it's like a 3 for me. I think rogue decks right now are kind of competitive. And I think losing Eviscerate, Sap, and Edwin isn't necessarily enough to make them that weak, especially when you think about like them already having other good cards in Foxy Fraud, Swindle, Tenwu. Like there's other Nitro Boost Poison. I'm not sure this makes the cut. So like 3 out of 5. Last but not least, we have Yoink. Discover a hero power and set its cost to 2. Set its cost to 0, sorry, and swap back after 2 uses. It's interesting. Like, you basically, ideally, you get something like Life Tap. You get 0 mana, draw 0 mana to take 4 damage and draw 2 cards over 2 turns. It's pretty decent. I think generally the hero powers are good. The problem with it is that, like, spending a card to get a hero power that's random doesn't sound great. I know it's Discover, so like you can still look, but a lot of the hero powers, I don't know. I just don't think it's worth a card. There is the combo potential, as in you play it and it enables other stuff. Like, it's a cheap spell. But like, does Rogue really want Priest hero power? No. Does Rogue want Totem hero power? It's okay. Steady Shot they'd take. Like, I guess I'm just thinking about Demon Claws is kind of undervalued, but they'd probably take the shape shift. They'd probably take Daggers, just make your hero power cost 0. I think it's okay. I'm gonna give it a 4. I think I can see this, like, because you're discovering it, it's not random. You're willing to take the Mage one, the Steady Shot, the Life Tap, and the Paladin one, I think, and of course your Rogue one. And then you're fine with Druid, Shaman. Really, the only one you don't want is Lesser Heal and probably Armor Up. I think in most cases that's decent. It's not a ton of value for the card, and it's not a ton of tempo. So maybe I'm gonna lower it to a 3. I think it still just doesn't do enough really for me. Shaman. Oh, so this is a really good time to talk about what is not in the pool in terms of neutrals. Big ones are Murloc War Leader and what's it called? Pretty much all of the Murloc cards. Like, if you look at the core set, excuse me, where is it? Core set. Let me go to neutral. You'll notice, like, we get Tiny Fin, we have Tidecaller still, but we don't have the one that we still do have Cold Light Seer. Okay, yeah, so we don't have War Leader, but we do have Cold Light Seer. Okay, my mistake. So War Leader really enables Murloc archetypes, but having Cold Light Seer and still having the Tidecaller can be interesting. I think Spawn Pool Forager in particular, 1 mana 1/2 Murloc that summons a 1/1, basically a 1 mana 2/3 in a lot of ways with Murloc synergies. I think that's a 4. It seems pretty good. It's kind of like Mecharoo or the Reborn Murloc, but better. So, and not just a little bit better. Yo, Wolfshoe, what's up? I haven't seen you on this platform before. I'm doing a little video reviewing all the cards pretty quickly. Haven't been able to stream as much again because of those headaches, as I mentioned earlier. It's a great card. I think this is very, very strong. Moving along. Earth Revenant, 4 mana 2/6 taunt, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions. It's very defensive. 4 mana 2/6 taunt, not terrible on its own. I probably wouldn't play that. But then with the added deal 1 damage to all enemy minions, it's a good control shaman card. Do we want control shaman with what we have here? I don't really think so. It seems like this kind of Murloc thing can work out. When we look at what shaman lost in general, they lost Totemic Might, Earthshock, Farsight, Lava Burst, Bloodlust. So they're not playing this kind of token style as effectively, but they still can do interesting stuff. They still have some burst potential. Novice Zapper is an insane card. So I kind of see this Murloc thing working out. And because of that, I don't know. I'm not totally sold on control shaman. Just need to think, like, what's in standard for shaman right now. They do have some decent stuff, right? Like, for as in terms of control tools, this is a really nice card. I mean, devolving is quite good. Tidal Wave is still going to be in, right? Yeah. I don't think Control Shaman is going to be a thing personally. I think, yeah, I'm live here because I'm going to save this VOD as a review. Normally I do these really extensive reviews, but physically, I just can't be at a computer for like 8 hours right now. And those videos take a lot of time. I'm going to give this a 3. I think Control Shaman is good. When Control Shaman is better, it'll want this card. Lilypad Lurker. 5 mana, 4/3. If you played an elemental last turn, transform an enemy minion into a 0/1 frog with taunt. So it basically casts Hex, right? That's pretty good. Are there a lot of elementals though? Well, we have this guy. We have, if I type in elemental, we get Menacing Nimbus is going to be great. Cage Match Custodian, we're already playing. Unbound is solid. Earth Revenant, I don't think you're going to play necessarily, but I think like basically 5 mana Hex on a stick, and all you have to do is play elementals, and there's a decent amount of good elementals. I like the support for Elemental Shaman generally. I think I'm going to give this a 4. I think if it's not good now, it'll be good later. Like honestly, it's a 5 if you have an elemental deck, without question, but do we have the elemental support right now? So this is the only card that like kind of interests me as a Caravan, and even then I still think this is a 1. I think you play it and you get like one card. It's like 2 mana 1/3 draw card, but it's not a Murloc itself, and then it dies. Like it, I guess you could compare these to totems, right? But totems give it to you at the end of your turn. So sorry, like the you know the Lackey totem, the 0/2, but the Lackey totem, you know, you guaranteed to get 1 Lackey, so it's like 2 mana draw Lackey, maybe get more. This is one. I'm gonna give it a 2. I'm gonna hedge my bets a little and say that this could be better, and there are a lot of good Murlocs. But I think a lot of times you just answer this and it gives you at most 1 card, and that might be enough. Arid Stormer, Battlecry, if you played an elemental last turn, gain Rush and Wind Fury. A 3 mana 2/5 Rush Wind Fury would be very, very solid. But do you play an elemental before you get this? Well, you'd have to play stuff like Menacing Nimbus, Cage Match Custodian. Aren't really that many other options, at least in terms of the neutrals. You'd have, yeah, Arcane Anomaly would come in. This guy is relatively new. We'll talk about him later. You know, like, I guess, yeah, he could speed up stuff. I think it could work, and it can obviously work later. I'm going to give like 3.5. I think this Elemental Shaman idea is cool. I'm more into the Murloc school of thought. South Coast Chieftain, 2 mana, 3/2. If you control another Murloc, deal 2 damage. I think this is amazing. Like, 5 out of 5. 2 mana, 3/2 Murloc, solid. Not anything super special, but it's really not that hard if you're running a Murloc deck to have a Murloc, and then this is either deal like 2 damage to face or clear a minion and just regain that tempo. Literally everyone would play a 2 mana 3/2 that deals 2 damage unconditionally anytime. But because it's control of Murloc, it's a little bit more niche, but even still, this is a great Murloc. Tidecaller is a great Murloc. I think you play this in a Murloc deck, and it's really, really helpful. Fire Mancer Flurgle, 2 mana, 2/3. After you play Murloc, deal 1 damage to all enemies. Wow. It's basically charge for the 1 damage to the face. It also board clears in a type of deck that really, really relies on clearing the board. If we look at Murlocs, one of the things that kind of hurts us, this is standard cards, so they've already factored out the cards that are being filtered out. So unfortunately, Toxfin is going away. I'm pretty sure Toxfin was what? Where was Toxfin? Earlier than this? I guess it would have been Rise of Shadows? Yeah. So this card would make it absolutely insane. So check out that combo in Wild. But in terms of just general stuff, this is still a 5. It's fantastic. Nothing can stop us, or no fin can stop us. 3 mana, give your minions +1, give your Murlocs an extra +1/+1. So +2 to all Murlocs, +1 to everything else. Seems excellent. Very, very, very strong. basically it's like a better Power of the Wild against Murlocs, and it still buffs things for +1/+1. So you play this with a Murloc deck, you drop a couple Murlocs and buff them +2/+2 for 3 mana. I can very, very, very easily see like Spawn Pool, Forager, South Coast Chieftain, another Murloc, and then this, like, you know, as a kind of final late game push. Murloc decks are very much about just kind of sticking to the board, like I was saying earlier. And if we look at that kind of list of standard cards and we check out Murlocs, I think you can find a list of Murlocs. You know, this one, if you have control of a Murloc, gain +1/+1, that's obviously solid. Tide Hunter still in. I think it's great. I really want to play Murloc Shaman too. But so far it's Secret Mage, Murloc Shaman, Secret Paladin. Very good, 5 out of 5. Brucon, nature spell damage +3. Well, now we got to say what are the nature spells? And if we look at Shaman, we don't gain anything. What? Okay. We have one here, but for some reason it's not letting me see the other stuff, at least that effectively. I'll go to Shaman and I'll just look through. So Runic Carvings, Lightning Bolt, Lightning Bloom, Chain Lightning, which we'll talk about in a second, Rock Biter. So most Shaman spells are nature, which means that +3 spell damage in most cases is just going to be 4 mana 5/4 +3 spell damage, which is very good. I would say, you know, +3 on Lightning Bolt means you get 1 mana, deal 6. You drop 2 of them, they're already down 12 health. That's insane. I'm gonna give this a 5. Chain Lightning, deal 2 damage to a minion and a random adjacent one. Upgrades to, it's not gonna show us the upgrades though, is it? Yeah, there we go. Deal 3 damage and a random adjacent one, and then 4 damage. I think this is also excellent. 5 out of 5. You know, 2 damage and then a random one that's next to it. So deal 4 damage. That's solid for 2 mana. And then it just keeps getting better. And that scaling, this is what makes these cards so good, is like when a card is good early game, but starts to fall off in quality, sometimes you don't want to run it because you're like, yeah, sure, it's great if I draw it on 1, but what happens when I draw it on 10? Well, these cards, they got you covered, you know, that's 2 mana, deal 8 basically, which is still okay for 2 mana. So another 4.5 or 4 to 5, very good. I think Shaman got a lot of nice tools, and I can see Murloc Shaman being a very solid aggressive archetype. Warlock. So again, like a decent effect, right? This is better than drawing the Murloc. At the start of your turn, summon a 1-cost minion from your deck. If you played this with a Zoo, it would pull stuff out, be pretty effective. But a lot of the time, it's a 2 mana 1/3, and if they answer it, you get nothing. You get a 2 mana 1/3, and I think that's pretty bad. Again, one of the more compelling caravans, because this not only draws you a card, it pulls it. Probably the best one, even though I like the Murloc draw one as well. But I'm just gonna give it a 2 out of 5. Cabal Outfitter. Give another random friendly minion +1/+1. So it's a 3 mana 4/4 if you have stuff on the board, and then it, you know, if it dies, it gives another +1/+1. So kind of like 5/5 in the best situation, a 3/3 in the worst situation. I think that's okay for Zoo. I don't really think it's good enough, would be my guess. You know, a 3 mana 4/4, vanilla, no tribe, nothing on its own. I don't think I would run that. You know, then it gets an extra +1. I still don't think I'd run this, but this is like a good budget Zoo card. I'm gonna give it like a 2.5 out of 5. Baron Scavenger. Taunt, costs 1 while your deck has 10 or fewer cards. Really, really interesting mechanic. I like this. I don't think it's going to be that great. You know, it does support this whole, you know, burning cards from your deck, like Ticketus and stuff. My guess is this is more of a control tool. Definitely you wouldn't play this in Zoo. But I feel like you do play this in control, just because... But, you know, it's still like, it's a 1 mana 6/6 in the best situations, but oftentimes it's just a 6 mana 6/6, and maybe you'd rather have something better. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5, or 2.5 out of 5. It's just not that great. Niru Fireblade. Battle Cry, if your deck is empty, open a portal that fills your board with 3/2 imps each turn. Again, incentivizing you to thin out your deck. You know, you get a 5/5 plus a bunch of 3/2s. It's kind of like a way cheaper Onyxia that is better stats as well. It's not really a win condition, right? and usually you don't make it all the way to your end of the deck. So I'm not super interested unless I'm seeing other synergies here. Altar of Fire, destroy the top 3 cards of each deck. I like this. That seems really effing annoying. It's a fire spell. It's always a cool tag. 1 mana Disruption, generally pretty strong. I know Warlock has been kind of, that's part of their class identity. It's going to be so good against combo decks. I know it destroys your own cards. The problem is like, is the disruption really that good when you are destroying your own cards? And like, I know you're kind of incentivized to do that with some of these things, like these guys, but I don't know. Like, they want you to destroy the cards. Like that's what I'm seeing. And also worth bringing up that Warlock is losing Soulfire and Voidwalker, which is significant, but not insane. And they gain a couple cards that are decent, if I recall correctly. They gain, let's do core set. Possessed Villager is solid. Tiny Knight of Evil, that's always pretty solid. Lakari got a lot better because it discards targeted low-cost cards. Yeah, like, I don't love this destroy your deck stuff. I know it gives you an incentive to play Ticketus, but the payoff is just like one single board. So I don't really believe in this. Altar of Fire I see as a tech card, 3 out of 5. Yeah, 4 mana, deal 5 to all minions. I think this is decent. We'll talk about it. So Grimoire of Sacrifice. Moire, it's gotta be. Destroy a friendly minion, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. So you kill one of your enemy minions and you get a decent AoE. Good for minions you want to destroy. And good for kind of board tempo. You know, like this is good with eggs. I still don't really think it's enough. I'm gonna give it a 2. Maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe I'm missing. So I need to see the kind of the neutrals. Tamsin Rome. Whenever you cast a shadow spell that costs 1 or more, add a copy to your hand that costs 0. So in terms of spells, we have this as a shadow spell. We have this as a shadow spell. We have the Warlock stuff. Where is it? Standard. Why is it showing us Shaman cards? Let's see here. Okay, we've got Ritual of Doom, which is trash. Mortal Coil, which is good. Demonic Studies, which is good. Like, you know, Wicked Whispers, decent. There's a decent amount of shadows. This got way better. This is just Penance. I think this sounds pretty decent. It's a value card. You can play it and then just kind of pop off. I think this is good. The more I think about it, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. It seems like you can just unload, and there are things like Drain Soul. You get Drain Soul, then you get another one. You got School Spirits you can shuffle in more of. What other ones? Shadow. This thing I don't really think. Siphon Soul is extra removal. I just think it's a good value card. You're going to find it in control stuff. I don't think you find that in a zoo deck at all. Soul Rend. Deal 5 damage to all minions. Destroy a card in your deck for each killed. So, like, is this control thing where you kill stuff going to be worth it? I think control decks want their cards still. Like, I don't think... against aggro, this is decent. But then against, like, you know, so you play this and you tech against aggro and... you know, it's solid, but against control, it's terrible. I don't believe it. 2 out of 5. Blood Shard Bristleback. Lifesteal Battle Cry. If your deck contains 10 or fewer cards, deals 6 damage to a minion. So, you know, you heal for 6. Again, I get that they're rewarding, like, you throw away cards, but I'm still not... I don't really like this whole, like, you're going to have less cards if this is the payoff. You know, if this is the payoff, like... But do you just run this because, you know, it's a decent control tool? Maybe, you know. How long does it take you to go down to 30? You start at 30 cards. If you can't go second, you start with what, 26? So you need 16 turns to get down there. That's pretty long. Of course, you could be playing some of the other cards that mill stuff. I don't really see it. I don't think you run a vanilla 3/3. Well, it has lifesteal. This is interesting. The Warlock cards just don't seem very good except for this. I'm unsure about this. I'm gonna say 3.5. I think the life steal is interesting, but yeah, I don't know. 2 mana Imp Swarm, summon a 3/2 Imp, then it becomes a 3/2 Imps, and then presumably, oh wait, no, sorry, 2/2 Imps, and then 3/2 Imps. On its own, summon a 3/2, not great. Then it becomes summon 2/3/2s, which is basically just the 3 mana card that makes 2 Treants, but for 1 less mana, but you can only do it on turn 5. That doesn't sound very good. I don't think you play this. I'm gonna give that a 2. Warlock, kind of a weaker recipient in this expansion. Didn't get a lot, in my opinion. Warrior, Whirling Combatant. Oh, by the way, Warrior is losing Upgrade, Battle Rage, Shield Block, and Kor'kron Elite. So no more Shield Block, Shield Slam, making control decks a bit weaker. Kor'kron Elite, no more charge. Anyway, Whirling Combatant. Battle Cry and Frenzy deal 1 damage to all other minions. So you get this sort of whirlwind effect to activate certain cards that need it. Not bad. It's also not that expensive. So, 4 mana, 2/6, and you clear a bit of a board or can activate certain positive Frenzy effects, which, for the record, let's see what still gets, sorry, not Frenzy, get that rewarded for the damage, like that kind of Enrage thing. Shield of Honor, that would be supporting it. Armor Smith, it's decent for still. If there's a damage minion, gain +1/+1 rush, like that would benefit from it. Frothing Berserker, obviously. Not that many cards love it anymore. Of course, Grommash, but you can't play them both in the same turn. I think the Frenzy thing is kind of interesting, though, because you can play it and it has 6 health. I think this is pretty good. I think you play it, it clears some stuff, and then as you trade, you clear even more things. I'm going to give this, the more I think about it, the more I'm like really annoyed if Warrior plays this on 4. Because let's just say I'm a Zoo deck and I have like a Flame Imp and I have, another 3/2 or something interesting on turn 2. I'm still developing my board. I have like a couple minions. They run in this. Now my minions only have 1 health. Maybe they killed something. And then if I want to clear this minion, if I don't clear this minion, it's going to start value trading and then wiping my whole board. Maybe even a 5. The more I think about it, the more I like it. Stonewall Anchorman, 5 mana, 4/5 rush, already pretty decent. It's a pirate, already pretty decent. Frenzy, draw a card. So all you need to do is attack something with less than 4 health, and you get a card, and it's a pirate. If we compare that to the card Militia Commander, which was a 4 mana 2/5 that got 5 and was 1 less mana, you don't get a card. I think this is better in some ways, worse in others. I like that it's a pirate. Generally, it's like the 5 mana dragon that drew a card, but you get 1 less attack, but it gets a rush. I think that's overall pretty good, and it's a pirate, so I'm going to give it a 3.5. I think you do run this in some decks. Bulk up. Give a random taunt minion in your hand, +1/+1, and copy it. Taunts for Warrior I don't think are that plentiful, so it's like, what taunts are you necessarily running? I'm just like looking at these, not seeing a lot of taunts. Feat of Strength. So I don't think the taunt stuff is quite there. I'll look in the neutrals, but I'm not super convinced by this. And it's like, it's a hand buff. I'm gonna give this a 1. Outrider's Axe. After your hero attacks and kills a minion, draw a card. So 4 mana, basically draw 3 if you can kill stuff. And then it's on its own. It's like 4 mana, deal 3, but deal 9. I think this is pretty good. I think it's like a slightly better than fair card. If you kill things, you get to draw. Let's compare this to, say, a 4 mana 4/2 weapon in the Paladin weapon, whatever it's called, where you heal 2. So this is 1 less attack, 1 more durability, but then sometimes you get the upside of drawing a card. I think that makes it pretty good. I think it's a 4 out of 5. I don't think the 1 less attack is going to be that relevant. I think it's very likely you play this and you draw a card, and it's very possible to draw 2 cards while also removing things, and it just sounds decent. Like, not OP, but decent, and like decent enough to actually run. Rancor, 4 mana spell, deal 2 damage to all minions, gain 2 armor for each destroyed. Decent control tool, you know, one less damage, but you're going to get some healing from stuff you kill. Very good against token decks. You know, 2 versus 3 damage is kind of a break point. You know, we can compare this to the priest card. What's it called? Holy Nova? Holy? I'm trying to think. Is it Holy Nova? Why did I just hit Paladin? You'd think I'd remember after all these years. Holy Nova. So it's basically Holy Nova, but better if it kills things, and then worse if it doesn't. Um, I think that's pretty good. I think there's going to be situations where you kill stuff. I don't think it's OP, but maybe 3 out of 5. It could be like a 1 of. Conditioning. Give minions in your hand +1/+1. Oh, finally a card. I just generally don't believe in hand buff, particularly in warrior. And I think, you know, hand buff that gets better over time does not mean good. I'm gonna give that a 1. That's like the first rank 1 card that I don't like. Overlord Sauerfang. Hey, if you play Battlegrounds, you've seen this guy. Resurrect 2 friendly frenzy minions. Deal 1 damage to all other minions. So 7 mana, 5/4. You get some frenzy minions. This one in particular would be quite good to kind of curve into. This guy also pretty good. It's a lot of value for a single card. I definitely think you want to play this in control stuff, and it has a little whirlwind effect. Seems very solid. You know, not the most tempo, but then again, if you're if you're resurrecting rush cards or something similar, uh, you know, it's very solid. 1/+1 attack for each damage character. This is also an interesting frenzy card. Anyway, Rokara, Rush. After friendly minion attacks and survives, give it +1/+1. So, does that include itself? I would assume so, yes. And then it also kind of has the benefit of everything else. You play this on 3, and it buffs your existing cards. You know, Frenzy. This thing gets stronger and stronger. I think this is decent. I'm gonna give it 3.5. 3 mana 2/3 Rush is not great. I think this would buff itself though, but I think there's potential here. Yeah, like a 3-star. This is a 4 for me. Warsong Envoy. 1 mana 1/3, gain +1 attack for each damaged character. So if you play this on 1 and then they play something on 1, you attack and survive, and does that just give you +1 attack? Or but if you had already taken damage, you get +2 attack. It just seems decent. It's a 1/3, right? I'm gonna give it 4. It might even be better than that. Morshan Elite. Taunt Battle Cry. If your hero attack this turn, summon a copy of this. Curves very nicely from Outrider's Axe. Reminds me of the secret card for Mage. And it's pretty solid. And the fact that it has taunt is also good. There's some taunt synergies with the other stuff. I think a 5 mana 8/8 taunt, if your hero attack this turn, is it that hard to attack with Warrior with the weapons that they have? Ceremonial Maul you don't really run. Spiked Wheel you don't really run. Ringmaster's Baton you run sometimes. Bulwark you can't really attack with, or if you do, you're kind of hurting yourself. Fiery War Axe we don't really play. Reaper Scythe is okay. Basically, it curves into the axe, and then otherwise it's a 5 mana 4/4. I don't know. Then I think like it's pretty situational, right? If you don't have a weapon, and then you're kind of feeling bad about that. So, you know, we lost a couple weapons too. I actually think this is a 2 because of that. I just think it's basically it's good if you have Outrider's Axe, and in every other situation it's not so good. I'm just gonna really quickly run and use the washroom. Sorry to keep people waiting just before I get to the neutral cards, but I don't think I can hold it much longer. So 1 sec. All right, guys, sorry to keep you waiting. I am back. All right, we're gonna do the neutrals. We're almost done. Far Watch Post, 2 mana, 2/4. This is the tower defense stuff. Can't attack after your opponent draws a card. It costs 1 more. So you play this card, and then they do their turn, and it makes their card cost 1. And you have a 2/4, which you could taunt or something later on, but right now I'm really not doing that much. It's kind of annoying. Then, so they ignore it. Then the next turn, now they have another card that costs +1. So they do kind of, like, I'm trying to think, like, you're imagining this card. Every turn it's around, it's just getting value. And if you can taunt it, it can get a bit more value, but it can't attack. At what point would you want to silence it? Not really. I'm not a huge believer in messing with your opponent if it's not also helping you. I feel like this doesn't help you that much. And then, it caps out at 10. I'm not loving this. I'm interested to see it. I haven't actually seen the card. I know some people were playing with it, but I didn't get a chance to check that out, which I actually think is good. I know it's easier to obviously look at the theory crafting streams and be like, okay, well, we've seen that card was good, so it's good. But I don't really like doing that. I haven't really done that with my previous reviews. Lushwater Scout. After you summon a Murloc, give it +1 attack and rush. Very solid Murloc. Synergizes with other stuff. Yes, it's 2 mana, 1/3, but it kind of very easily starts to pay for itself the longer it stays in. I could see that in Murloc Shaman. 2 mana, 2/3 Beast. Frenzy, deal 3 damage to the enemy hero. That seems pretty decent. All you really want to do is get a single trade and it pays for itself. Would we see that in like a Beast Hunter deck? Maybe. I'm going to give it a 3. It's definitely got potential. Talented Arcanist. Battle Cry, your next spell this turn has spell damage +2. This seems useful as well. Spell damage +2 is no joke. There are many, many, many classes that a temporary spell damage of +2 can just allow them to pop off. Just think about Lab Partner plus Talented Arcanist. Oh, it's only a single spell, so that is important. But you do that plus, I don't know, Ruined Orb, and it's 4 damage. And you get a 1/3. Is that worth it? Maybe in a control thing you would use it to synergize, but I don't know. Maybe it's situational. I'm thinking about like the Demon Hunter combo deck. 2 mana, your next spell this turn, and then you get +2. Is that worth it over other permanent spell damage stuff? Maybe. I'd have to see where this fits in. A decent card though. Barrens Trapper, your death rattle cards cost 1 less. It's like a tempo death rattle stuff. Generally speaking, tempo death rattle things aren't usually as successful as more of a value driven or like more like we've seen big death rattle decks like Death Rattle Hunter work. We don't usually see these like, oh hey, you can play a bunch of cheap death rattles. So I don't really have a lot of faith in this. It seems like just a 3 mana 2/4 with a small upside. After a friendly secret is revealed, gain +2/+2. It's already a 3 mana 4/3. Wow, that's really good. You run that in all your secret decks. 3 mana 4/3 that becomes a 6/5 if you pop a secret, and on its own it's a 4/3. Yeah, I like that. I think that's really crazy actually. So really good card. 4.5 out of 5. Death's Head Cultist, taunt 3 mana 2/4. Death Rattle, restore 4 health. It's kind of like the 6 mana card that, like it's like a typical taunt that heals you. I would say a 3 mana 2/4 taunt that heals you 4 is pretty solid. It's relatively cheap. 2 attack is much better than 1 attack. Although and it's coming at a time where like it's not too early in the game, and 4 health is valuable. I'd say this is like, decent anti-aggro card. Is it good enough to beat out other aggro cards? Maybe not, but neutral healing is always valuable. I think this will find a place somewhere. I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Hog Rancher. Battle Cry, 3 mana 3/2. Battle Cry, summon a 2/1 hog with rush. The hog is, I am sure, a beast. Yes, it is. So it's a 3 mana 5/3 with 2 of those attack being fast. 3 mana 5/3 that deals 2, or 3 mana 3/2 that deals 2 is another way to look at it. That's okay. I think it's pretty good. It's amazing in Arena. I don't think it's enough though. Ratchet Privateer, 4 mana, 3 mana pirate. Give your weapon +1 attack. 3 mana 4/3, decent stat line, aggressive stat line. That's gonna buff up a class like Rogue that wants to boost their weapon that gets slowly stronger. I can't believe I was just talking about this one. Self-sharpening something. Where is it? Self-sharpening sword. And it's a pirate. I think this is decent. I think we're gonna see it somewhere. It's kind of like the Captain Greenskin, but for 2 less mana and you don't get the durability, but oftentimes the attack is better. And Greenskin is out, and so is Harrison Jones. I don't know. I like this. I think it'll see play somewhere. Venomous Scorpid, Poisonous, Battle Cry, discover a spell. 3 mana, draw a spell, and you get removal. And you like it, and it's a 1/3. Seems pretty good, man. 3 mana, draw a spell, and you have a threat on board. And it's like got decent health. Like I don't know. This is gonna be a good card in Arena. It kind of reminds me of that poison 3 mana 1/1 Divine Shield from Kobolds and Catacombs, but it's not as good in terms of the removal. But discovering a spell, like it's a net neutral card. I think somewhere we could see this, but it seems more of like a really good Arena card. Sunwell Initiate, Frenzy, gain Divine Shield, 3 mana 3/4. It's a Spire Tank stat line, and then if it trades with anything, gets the Divine Shield. It's a decent Frenzy card. This is one of those ones where like I could be underestimating. You play it. You trade with something, you get Divine Shield, does like a Paladin or something really, really like that, and then they buff it up like crazy. Does that just give you just enough value? I think the state of the game is a bit more accelerated, that a 3 mana 3/4 with upside is not really enough, even though the Frenzy upside is pretty good, and 4 health means it's likely to trigger at that phase in the game. But I think you can just do better things for 3 mana. So I don't really believe it, which is kind of also why I don't believe in the Scorpid. This is, again, a good Arena card, to say the least. A very, very good Arena card. Gruntled Patron. Summon another Gruntled Patron. Another Patron style effect. You can use the Whirlwind. But this is after this survives damage. Yeah. So you don't even really... Like, that's the thing. You can use the Whirlwind cards with the Warrior stuff, which maybe makes me think I should revise Warrior a bit. I don't know. Like, because, yeah, actually, I hadn't even thought of that. Like, my bad. Whirling Combatant can become very, very strong with other stuff. So is this. Like, you just get some Whirlwind effects and it draws you more cards. I think both of these are very good. The more I think about this with synergies with other stuff, where am I going? Neutral. I don't know about this Gruntled Patron. Like, how does it compare to Patron Warrior? Like the original Patron. Grim Patron. Whenever this minion survives damage, that's what it is, right? Why? Grim Patron. Whenever this minion survives damage, summon another Grim Patron. This is the same effect, right? So isn't this just really good? Like, isn't it just Patron? Same thing, it gets hit and it summons a new one. It's got to be good, right? 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. It's basically just a better Grim Patron. That's cool. Tarajo Brave, 6 mana, Frenzy, destroy a random enemy minion. I don't love it. 6 mana, 4/8. If it can attack, it can kill something. And at 8 health, it's likely to. But it's a slow removal and it's a random one. So against a wide board, this isn't that great. Now you could do Tarajo Brave plus, like the Whirlwind stuff. Like, it seems like Warrior is particularly well suited. And to clarify, like Frenzy, you have to, like it would activate just even from the Whirlwind. So unless I'm incorrect and it's attacking, let me just double check. Frenzy Hearthstone. The first time it survives damage. Okay. That's very important. Why does it not say that here? See, now I'm going to go back. A one-time effect. Okay, I'm so stupid. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so going back with what I said before, yeah, you just do it once. That's not nowhere near as good. I feel like I knew this and then I went back on it. Yes, this sucks. This isn't nearly as good. But wait, but this one, it summons a card with Frenzy. So it doesn't make more, but it you can still like take the damage, summon one, and then if you do another one, it summons another one, but it doesn't pop off as crazy. So I don't know. I don't have as much faith in this. Are there other Frenzy cards I'm missing? I'm just going to really quickly go back to the Warrior ones. Yeah, this is still decent. This is still decent, but this doesn't continue to be as good. Yeah, this is still fine. It's not as good as I thought before. My bad for misunderstanding Frenzy. Been playing too much Battlegrounds. Okay, Injured Marauder. Taunt. Battle Cry deals 6 damage to this minion. So it's a 4 mana, 5/4 that, you know, if you heal it back up, gets real strong. Those cards generally find play eventually, depending on what other cards are around. The 2 mana 2/3 that heals everything is going to go out of standard. So I don't know. It's okay. You know, something like Priest could find this pretty decent. I give it a 3. South Sea Scoundrel is a 4 mana 5/5 pirate. Discover a card in your opponent's deck. They draw theirs as well. Interesting. 4 mana 5/5, already a pretty decent stat line. You steal a card from them in a sense, like you copy a card from them, and wait, okay. Yeah, so you add one to your hand, and then they also get it. So, you know, you draw a card, but then it's kind of negated by it. So it's basically a 4 mana 5/5 pirate that has that sort of like symmetrical Cold Light Oracle effect. But you generate cards and they just draw them. I think it's okay. It's a really interesting card. I'm gonna give it a 3. Burning Blade Acolyte. 5 mana 1/1, summon a 5/8 demon spawn with taunt. It's a really good death rattle, a thing you want to kill. But a 5 mana slow 6/9, you know, basically a 5/8. Like this doesn't really matter. Is that good? I guess you can activate the death rattle, but do we have like that many like play dead style effects? Not really. Interesting card. I'm gonna give it a 2. Gold Road Grunt. Taunt. Frenzy. Gain armor equal to the damage taken. 5 mana 3/7 taunt, and then you take 1 damage, or they ping it or something. So you 5 mana 3/7 taunt that heals 1. It's not great. If they don't have a great way to trade that, you can heal a bit more. 3/7 is hard to clear, but on 5 mana, I'd rather have like 4 attack. Again, another card that's decent in Arena. I don't think it's good enough. In Standard, 4 mana Dark Spear Berserker, deal 5 damage to your hero. This card is excellent. It is one of the cards I was thinking of when I was looking at Demon Hunter. Whoops, wrong one. This is this kind of stuff like Death Speaker Blackhorn. I think you would play that. You might just play this along with a couple other things. And it would be really, really good to cheat out with the 3/3 card and the other one. So I think I'm going to give that 4 stars, especially since it's just a 4 mana 5/7, which is really, really good. I think this is just a really good card. I'm going to give it 5, actually. I don't think you care about the damage to your hero that much. When you get a 5/7 for 4 mana, keep in mind, like 4 mana 4/5 is like what you're expecting, right? Or a 3/6, and you're getting instead 1 extra attack and 2 extra health, and you could cheat it out. Do you play this in a normal deck? Maybe not, but like just a little bit of extra durability in a zoo deck or something might be possible. I think this is if the death rattle stuff works. See, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, if the death rattle stuff works, yes. If not, I don't know. Toad of the Wilds. 2 mana 2/2 beast. Battle Cry. If you're holding a nature spell, gain +2 health. 2 mana 2/4 taunt. If you're holding a nature spell, nature spells in particular are what good for druid, right? If I recall correctly. Yeah. So you'd play this in druid, or shaman, and you get 2/2 normally, which is really not that great for 2 mana, but 2/4 otherwise. I just don't think that's good enough. I don't think you ever run that. Hecklefang Hyena. Battle Cry, deal 3 damage to your hero. For 1 extra health, you take 3 damage. That's definitely not good, but do you want to take damage? I also don't think you do, that I can think of. So yeah, I don't like that. Lushwater Mercenary, 2 mana, 3/2. If you control a Murloc, gain +1/+1. Now that is a card I like to see in a Murloc deck. Basically a 2 mana 4/3. I think it's very easy to have a Murloc and curve into this. And worst case scenario, you get a 3/2. You just need card generation in some way to get that working. Kindling Elemental, 1 mana 1/2. The next elemental you play costs 1 less. So it allows you to curve into stuff pretty effectively. It also is a stacking, like it's effect that's not like just this turn. But I think you play this in elemental decks to sort of cheat the curve a bit. I think it's a 3.5 out of 5. Kargal Battle Scar, 7 mana 5/5, so terrible style line. Battle Cry, summon a 5/5. Look out for each watch post you've summoned in this game. So these are these little tower defense stuff that people were talking about. I don't know if I really believe in the watch post stuff, but we'll hold off until we've seen all of them. Crossroads Watch Post. Can't attack whenever your opponent casts a spell. Give your minions +1/+1. I don't think you want to play a 4 mana 4/6 do nothing but make your opponents feel like they can't cast a spell. I just don't think like, I don't know, like you're playing this against like a tempo deck and you play this 4 mana 4/6, you did nothing on your turn. You just summon a 4/6 unless you can taunt it with Argus or something. And or the 2/3. Is the 2/3 still in? You know guys what I'm talking about. Sun Fury something. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, doesn't look like it. So if we don't have the taunting thing, then all these watch posts get way worse. And I don't think I believe in them. I'm gonna give it a 2. Can't attack after your opponent plays a minion. Summon a 2/2 grunt. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. This is like a negative tempo, right? You play a 3 mana 3/5, and then every time they develop, you get a 2/2. That sounds a little bit more annoying. Like buffing your board. Well, what if you don't have a board? Then this is useless. It gives your existing minion that can attack something that's not great. This thing also, it's like it's inconvenient, but I think it also doesn't benefit you that much. But like, you know, think about it, you're playing against aggro and you like play this. They're kind of like, okay, it doesn't really matter. I don't think. Maybe it's like a decent card for a control deck. If your opponent plays a minion, summon a 2/2 grunt. Like this one is the most interesting to me because it really punishes them. It gives you a board. So that's like kind of nice. But if they ignore it, they can just kind of keep pushing. So yeah, this one's the best one. And then you get 7 mana, summon a bunch of 5/5s, which is also kind of interesting. It's really hard to evaluate these cards. This is the kind of thing I would like to see in play, but as I have said before, I don't like to just sort of check beforehand. Barrens Blacksmith. This is a card in Battlegrounds. 5 mana 3/5. Frenzy. Give your other minions +2/+2. It's too slow. You have to like pair it with something else. It's a 2-card combo to get +2/+2. I don't think token decks want that. Horde Operative. 3 mana 3/4. Spire Tank. With upside, copy your opponent's secrets and put them into play. I feel like I'd rather get rid of my opponent's secrets rather than just copying them, because I feel like my game plan isn't to have a bunch of secrets. It's to deal with their annoying secrets. Interesting tech card, might see play. I don't think it's amazing though, but you know, 3/4 with upside, it could work. I generally don't have a lot of faith in the Spire Tank stuff though. Primordial Protector, 8 mana 6/6 elemental. Draw your highest cost spell. Summon a random minion with the same cost. See, for 8 mana, you draw a card. Maybe you draw a Pyroblast, which isn't in standard anymore, but let's just say you draw like a really expensive spell. You summon a 10/10, you draw the spell, and you get a 6/6. Is that good? I don't really think so. I think it's just too slow, right? Like it's great value. Again, maybe another arena card or something, but like if you draw a weaker spell, like you'd have to restrict your deck too much, and the payoff is so bad that I'm just gonna give this a 1. Kazakus, hey, my buddy, if your deck has no 4-cost cards, build a custom golem. Let's see the golems. Lesser golems, greater golem, superior golem. I assume it's just like you get a 5/5? Or how does it work? Like you just get one of these golems? or do you combine it? I guess I need to see this card, but either way, no 4-cost cards. You know, we saw with Keleseth that you could drop the 2-drops. I feel like generally speaking, the 4-drops are a little better. You know, typically, like, I could be wrong here. Like, these are all decent. Hunter. I think it's a really specific card, and I want to see the payoff a bit better. I'm gonna do Kazak. Like, let me just do Kazakus Golem Shaper into here. Kazakus Golem Shaper. Okay. Taunt, Stealth, Poisonous, Lifesteal. Oh, okay. So you pick from a 1 or a 5 or a 10, and then it can have one of these 3 possible choices, which could include Taunt or Lifesteal, both of which would be pretty good. Rush would also be pretty good. And then you can also get a final thing, deal 3 damage. Okay, that's pretty good. These are pretty good. And it curves out well. I guess that's just a 5, right? Like it's just a card that is gonna see play. And it's very solid. So I like it. I think you can sacrifice 4-cost cards without getting punished too much. I don't really know what deck would run that. Maybe a mid-range or a control deck. But I think someone will play it. It's good. After you cast a holy spell, give a random minion, friendly minion +2 health. I don't think that's good enough. 4 mana 3/6 stat line is fine, and then it just gives plus health. Who cares? Razormane Raider, 5 mana, frenzy, attack a random enemy. So like, if you do this and you do the 0 mana card that does +2 in warrior, what's that called? I can't think of the word. Find it. Standard cards. The 0 mana card. Where is it? Is it Enrage? Why do I not see it? Did it get taken out? I mean, you could also use Whirlwind. Am I crazy here? Okay, I guess it got taken out. Battle Rage, is that what it is? So no, Battle Rage is the draw. So it on the little list I have that it's the stuff that got removed. I don't see that here, but I guess it's I guess it got removed. All Inner Rage. Okay. Yeah, I guess it's not in anymore. Okay, that wasn't on my list, but no more Inner Rage. That makes a lot of sense. I think that's too slow. Mancrick, I've seen this card. Help Mancrick find his wife. She was last seen somewhere in your deck, so it shuffles in this card. Cast when drawn, summon a 3/10 Mancrick who immediately attacks the enemy hero. This is Mancrick consumed by hatred. It's a 3/10. So you play this guy, you get a 3/4, and then later you get a 3/10 that does 3. I think that's pretty good. I think zoo decks and that kind of stuff will be happy to run a 3/4 that like later on has a nice benefit and is very hard to deal with. There's also definitely going to be ways to kind of tutor this out, I imagine. So I think that's a 4. Peon, Frenzy, add a random spell from your class to your hand. Too slow. 1 star. Blade Master Semoru. 4 mana 1/6 rush. Deal damage equal to this minion's attack to all enemy minions. So it attacks, bumps a 1/1, and then does 1, and that's it. Not great, so it has to be buffed. Too much work to buff. 1 star. Shadow Hunter Vol'jin. 5 mana, choose a minion, swap it with a random one in its owner's hand. This card is already out. It's annoying. It's disruption. I don't know, like 3 or 4. It's not that bad. It's not that good. I've never been blown away with that. And I think that is all the cards. So having seen the neutrals, what really stands out for me are these watch post things are interesting. Thrasher's kind of fun. I like the Murloc stuff generally. I like this Death Heads Cultist. I think we'll see a lot of that. Some of the pirates are interesting. I like Darkspear Berserker. Could see it working. Some of the elementals. Really, the Murlocs are the things that stand out the most for me. And then Kazakus, I think we'll see a lot of, but they're not crazy powerful. And then just doing a quick check through of stuff in case there's anything I missed. Death Rattles, I really wasn't seeing that many good Death Rattles. Like, all classes, Death Rattle. You know, from the neutral end, what are we getting? Thalnos, not amazing. Like, you throw it in play. Nerubian Egg is okay. Just thinking about, like, tempo Death Rattles. Gorfine doesn't work. Sneaky Delinquent, okay. I just can't see this Demon Hunter thing working. I just want to make sure, go do a quick run through of everything, see if there's anything I didn't realize. Double check that Frenzy stuff, of course. This is still great, even though Frenzy only works once because it transforms anyway. I knew that. Yeah, this only working once is also fine. Whole time people are going to watch, they're going to be like, why can't he see that it says one-time effect? And the answer, guys, is I wish I knew. I wish I knew. This stuff, yeah, I think I'll evaluated it correctly. Paladin, like, still sticking to it. There really isn't that much that's making me question anything. In terms of the neutral stuff, like losing Wisp, Angry Chicken, Secret Keeper, I don't think Secret Paladin needs Secret Keeper to be great. It is a loss. Doomsayer being gone is fine. War Leader is a big loss from the core stuff. Questing Adventure is fine. Silverback Patriarch is good. Twilight Drake is unfortunate, but whatever. Harrison Jones makes weapons a bit better. Sea Giant makes the token decks a bit weaker, but it's not like they always ran them. Yeah, I think that's everything. So I'll probably wrap it up. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a thumbs up. Again, I know not my usual format. Like I already said, unfortunately, I've just had some health issues right now, and it would have been easier to go the route that we just went. But, you know, hopefully I still did a decent job, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. I might actually stream on here a bit more for Battlegrounds, so let me know if that's something in the comments that you're interested in.